What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching our first video between Solar Art and Matt D'Arienzo. So we're going to talk about, the first topic we're going to talk about is actually managing and retaining your installers. So we have Matt here to kind of unpack everything about what he's done over the past 10 years. So Matt, let's just open up to you. Talk a little bit about Solar Art and then what you do to manage and retain your installers.
Yeah, so there's no easy answer for this one. This is one of the hardest things when I talk to other dealers, when we talk and have conversations. One of the biggest pain points in the window film industry, in a lot of other industries, in my pizzeria as well. I mean, it's hard to find a really good pizza maker, but it's the same thing. When I got into the pizza business, I'm like, oh my God, this is like the window film business all over again. Like, it's hard to find these guys and train them. It takes years and years. I'm like, this is the same thing with making pizzas. It's the same thing in window film. So window film installers, good window film installers are really hard to find, and they take a long time to train. And so the challenge is, if you want to scale your business, what do, right? You have to invest time and money in training people up. Now, there's two paths of it. You put an ad out on Craigslist, you put an ad out on Indeed, you try and hire, right? Who are you going to find? Most likely, you're not going to find these great installers, because if they're at a company, why would they leave, right? So once in a while, you get one that's disgruntled and wants to leave and come to you. But for the most part, you're not going to find a diamond in the rough that all of a sudden shows up at your doorstep that's got 20 years of experience and a good attitude, right? Because you got, there's all different installers, like every employees, have different egos and personalities. And so I think, so what we've learned at Solar Art, we've been lucky, our model is we go in and buy a company. So typically they'll have installers, and so we obviously assess those installers, and hopefully they fit in with us and the culture wise and all that. And so for the most part, it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. But what we found is, like any business, the better route is training. The better route is training. The better route is finding. And what I've learned is it's not necessarily, it is a very specific skill, like, the pizza making. But the challenge is you can find 2 or 3 people to do it, and then somebody will be better at it than somebody else. If you put someone through a training program, and we can talk about that as well, create a training program to train these installers, you will have different results because they have different results of talent. Like any skill, it is something that is a talent that you have. I don't know what it is. I haven't put my finger on it, and I don't think anybody knows what specifically that talent of window tinting is. I think it has to do with work ethic, working with your hands, your eye, your cleanliness, how detail oriented you are. There's a few things that are basic, but it's hard to hire for that. You do not know. And so that's where the challenge lies, is you do not know. And so generally what we do is you look for good people first in any job, in any position, just in general in hiring. It's the person first, right? I mean, skills can be taught. Find a good person, good human being that has a good, that fits into your culture. If you do that, then you're 60-70% of the way there. Then you teach them how to do window film. And so I think, as far as, now, I haven't answered the question, right? How do you find and retain the installers? Well, I think the point of training them is you get to do it your way. When you find installers, and everyone knows this, I think if other window film dealers are watching this, they know when you get a guy that comes from somewhere else, he likes to do it his way. He thinks his way is the best. He's the best installer. He's the top of the heap in that. So it's hard to change the stripes, or what do you say? Stripes on a lion, leopard, whatever. Spots on a leopard. Okay. I don't know. Whatever you say. It's hard to change. It's hard to change people. And so when you have somebody new that you're training, you train them exactly how you want them to do it, right? And so the challenge is it takes a long time to get them trained up, right? 3 months, 6 months. And so you're investing that money, but remember, how much money is that guy going to make for you? That single guy should be able to produce a decent amount of revenue, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, depending on your business and what kind of film you're doing and all that stuff. But each guy is going to produce revenue. So if you think about it like that, like, it's really critical. And so you're like, do you want to spend the money and hire someone and train someone all that time? Yes, 100%. Your business as a window film company, like the pizza business, like you can only do so much business as the number of installers you have, right? And so you're only going to grow as much. So you sometimes you have to put the cart before the horse. You have to hire those additional people if you have faith and you have, in anticipation of the business you're going to do. You're like, I want to be here. Well, you gotta be prepared for that, because if you grow your business and in 3 or 6 months you think you're going to be at $1 million or whatever it is, you're not going to do $1 million unless you have installers. Now, a lot of guys go through and they subcontract. So they say, oh, we're going to keep our guys, and then if I get busy, I'm just going to hire a subcontractor. That's great, but what happens is, then you don't have guys all the time. And so then you're doing revenue here, and then you get busy, you get a subcontractor, and then your revenue goes down. But, I feel if you get the guys and you'll be more, it'll propel you more to grow the business on a consistent level versus hiring subcontractors. Our business is notorious for subcontractors because it's a good, easy model. Whereas I don't want to afford to pay and train more people. When I get more business, I'll just get a subcontractor. And we do it too, not a lot, but we do it. We have our own, commercial teams that we try and keep everything in-house, but we also subcontract. So, I mean, it definitely is a benefit. But I think having your own guys trained the way you do it, your systems, your culture, is by far the best thing to do. And so, I mean, the answer is it's a pain in the fucking ass to do it. But I would say for the amount of money that it's going to generate and to build a company, you got to do it. You got to hire a trainer. And the problem, that we've had is we'd always talk about it. It's so important. Training's so important. Oh, this guy's so important. But we'd always put it on the back burner. And we'd be like, oh, let's just because you're running a business. You're doing this stuff. How you get, but you have to put that, it's the guys going out and doing the installations. They're the last line of defense. They're the ones that are actually talking to customers, seeing the customer, throwing the film up, the quality of the job. Like they are, the part of the life and of blood of the business. And so it's really important. And when we have locations and that have really good installers, I mean, it's so much nicer, the less issues, less problems, less callbacks, better film numbers, less waste, it's such an important role. And sometimes, we get consumed with the sales aspect or other operational aspects, but installation is by far, I mean, especially in a small company, I mean, that's, it's so important. So, I mean, there's no answer to how to retain and hold them. Once you get a guy that I think is good and you feel fits in your culture and you see he's progressing and he's gonna be a good installer, don't let him go. Treat him really well. Get him as much as you can and show him appreciation too. Like any employee, some guys aren't motivated by money. Some guys are motivated by they just want to pat on the back. They just want to be like, oh, you're kick ass, you're awesome, whatever it is. Like some guys don't want to work on the weekends and they're like, I only work Monday through Friday. Okay, no problem. You know what I mean? Like you give me what you want and then we'll go back and forth. So you have to really reverse engineer with any employee and find out what's really important to them. And if you make them happy and give them what they want, then in turn, they'll give you what you want for the business and it'll make for a good relationship. So I think in general, just, and look, a lot of dealers may know all this stuff already. This might be stuff that they know already, but for me, it's something that we've focused on because as we wanted to grow and open new offices and some installers don't work out, you're always hiring and you're always training. We're always in that mode. You should have always somebody that's kind of in the pipeline doing that. So that's in a nutshell, kind of how we do it. And, and we have a training process and program. It's not, super detailed, it's not like, super built out, but it's basically, an installer starts and here are the milestones that we want them to hit at, week 1 and a month 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, up through, 12 weeks. At the end of 12 weeks, they need to do these things specifically, right? Cleaning windows and cutting film and, know height, know how to use ladders, know how to use equipment, know how to use all the tools. And so you create milestones and specific things, and then you check in with that installer to make sure that he can, that he's executing on that, right? And then, and obviously having an installer that is capable of training and teaching is important. You just go put them with somebody that just is installing, then that's not going to work. There's a certain personality that you have to put them with. And so that's important as well. But I think setting goals, setting milestones for whatever, program that you guys put together is important. And that's kind of how we do it. A training school would be cool. I think there's a couple of training schools out there for window film, which is great. But at the end of the day, like the best experience is on jobs, because you're going out to different jobs. If you're in if say you have a training facility, how many windows could you have in a training facility? How many different types of situations could you have in a training? You can't. But on jobs, you got ladder work, you got indoor, outdoor, all kinds of crazy stuff. That's the best experience. And so you have to be on jobs. So what we do also is we'll pay a guy typically to train, right? And it's separate. So included in his pay, but it's a different pay scale from his normal pay scale. Because if we send a guy to train and it affects his volume, or affects his productivity, and that affects his pay, then why is he going to want to train? He's like, this guy's slowing me up. I make more money if I'm on commission basis, then what I'm not going to do it. And so we've kind of designed a program where they're going to make as much money as they made more money in training that person. And so it motivates them to train, and then gets them excited about, having more responsibility and things like that. And so but that's money you have to invest. He's going to go slower. He's going to make less money. You're paying him more, but it's money you have to put into the business. And so I think it's important. It's one of the most important things, one of the biggest challenges that owners have. And so I'd love to get comments from other dealers to see what they think, what they do. That's what we do. But I'm just curious kind of how they, what kind of systems, what kind of things they do. I think a lot of them do training. A lot of them, probably use subs. But it's a challenge. In any specialized skill business, you can't just hire someone and train them up in a couple of weeks. Super hard, super hard. Pizzeria is the same thing. I can only sell so many pizzas as one pizza guy can make. And so I went to go hire more pizza guy, and they're like, well, this guy's got 20 years of experience. They're twirling the pizza, they're throwing it in the air, like it's crazy. So it's a specialized skill. So like, how do you just, when we're like, oh, get a pizza press, you just, press the dough, right? And that's not authentic. So it's tough, you got to train and you got to invest money. So it's one of the biggest challenges. But anyway, that's the first episode. Any other questions, Johnny, that came to your head? No?
Nope. If you guys have any feedback or anything that you guys do differently, be sure to write something in the comments so we can look into it, and then we can talk about it on the next topic. Yeah. But yeah, that was a great answer. A pretty long one.
Then don't shut up.
But definitely some tips and tricks on how to retain, and definitely how to potentially retain those installers, because it's really important. Like you said, they're a dime a dozen. And once you have someone really good, you want to make sure you're doing everything you can to make sure that they stay with you, because investing in them is going to bring revenue back into the business. So once you have them, keep them as long as you can, do whatever you can to make sure that they're happy. And then,
100%.
Cool. All right. We'll see you guys probably next week for our second post. And like I said, if you have any feedback or any suggestions or anything you guys do differently, be sure to write a comment down below so we can kind of look into it.
Cool.
See you guys.